Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Opinions from the Armchair. In this episode, I'd like to talk about a problem that I believe has the potential to do great harm to humanity, but no one seems to be taking it seriously or even considering it at all. So, I am raising the alarm on alarms. Car alarms, fire alarms, burglar alarms, the alarms in the doorways of shops and supermarkets. They are an ever-present part of modern civilization, and anyone will tell you what a necessary and positive measure they are in the saving of life and property. I, however, am of the opinion that their constant presence negates their own effect. Let me start off by saying that I have a personal grudge against alarms in general. I have the neurological abnormality Asperger's syndrome. One of the symptoms is an increased sensitivity to light and sound. What the average Jane and Joe thinks of as normal level sound is noticeably louder to someone like me. And what they think is loud is painfully loud to me, especially if it's a high-pitched noise. Cuts into me like a knife. So, as you can imagine, one of the banes of my existence is alarms. It actually caused a lot of problems for me over the years. For example, when I first moved out of my parents' house, it was into student accommodations. In all the apartments, the smoke detectors and fire alarms were rigged so that if one was set off, then all the alarms on the floor went off. And believe me, they did. There wasn't a week that went by that someone didn't burn the toast or lit up a cigarette, at least I hope that's what it was, thus setting off a false alarm. It was disturbing, frightening, and painful for me. I don't know why I stayed there as long as I did. When I went to community college, I found, to my dismay, that they insisted on testing their fire alarm at least twice a day, 2 days a week. You'd think after the first month or so they'd be sure it was working. I wouldn't set foot inside the building until they agreed to give me a schedule of the testing times, so I knew when to put on my ear defenders, which I also use when I'm doing the vacuuming. And then there was an incident several years ago. My family was staying in a hotel and the fire alarm went off 3 times in the same night. The first time we all had to evacuate and ended up standing in the street while a fireman checked it out. Turned out it was caused by one of the guests taking a particularly steamy bath with lots of hairspray. The next 2 false alarms were caused by other guests trying to disable their own alarms. And it can make a man a nervous wreck. Sometimes, when I'm in a waiting room, I see a fire alarm or mounted on the wall, and I end up staring at it, just thinking about how it could go off at any second. A lot of people don't understand, but this is something that causes me pain, and it can happen without warning at a moment's notice. Let's say that you had to go through your day knowing that at any second someone might jab you with a fork. There would be no knowing when it would come, and you had no way of stopping it from happening again. Some of you watching may still maintain that alarms are an essential part of our safety. I, however, feel that they don't often have that effect, because alarms don't work. Not in the sense that they malfunction, but because they don't have the desired effect on people. There are so many false alarms that people don't pay attention to them anymore. Let me ask you this. How many times have you been walking in the city, heard a car alarm going off, and it wasn't being stolen? How many times have you heard a car alarm go off, and even thought it was being stolen? One time, when I was house hunting, an agent who let me in tripped the countdown on the burglar alarm, but found he had gotten the wrong code to disarm it, and of course the alarm went off. It was blaring and blaring away, alerting the whole neighbourhood just as it was designed to. Was there a hue and cry? Did the neighbours come running out of their houses to see what the matter was? Did the police start blocking off the street? No! In fact, the only movement at all was the middle-aged post lady coming along the street with her trolley, and she wasn't even perturbed by the noise. Someone once told me that in her neighbourhood a burglar alarm went off, and it kept on going and going for days. It only stopped when the batteries ran out. Twice, just a stone's throw from where I am right now, I came across one of those personal rape alarms that people carry and set off in case they're being accosted. Both times they were just lying in the street, constantly sounding off, and yet passers-by took no notice. My point is that alarms, in essence, are supposed to alert people to danger or crime. By going off, they're saying, "Danger! You are in danger!" or "This house is being robbed! Call the police!" But, in the ears of society, all they're really saying is that an alarm is going off. It's the classic case of the boy who cried wolf. Everyone has gotten so used to them that they don't even think they are alerts to a real emergency. And if a real emergency should happen, people might pay it no mind. Think of it. You're out doing the shopping, you come home to find that your house has either burned to the ground or has been cleaned out by robbers. And all the neighbourhood did when they heard the alarm was complain about the noise. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. In 2003, New York, USA, a report was written outlining the problem of the ineffectiveness of constant car alarms, and seriously proposed banning them. In a survey, people were asked, "Has a car alarm ever prompted you to take some form of action against possible car theft?" And a whopping 95% said no. The report goes on to say that people rarely respond to their own car alarms. So, not only are car alarms a constant pain for people with sensitive ears, but they are drowning themselves out, to the point where no one thinks they are actually alerting people to their intended emergency, and in my opinion, causing major risks to safety and security. Now, I believe that if you make a program with this, talking about a social wrong, you shouldn't just go on and on about it without recommending some sort of cure. Otherwise, it's just complaining, and you leave people with a sense that there's no hope for the situation. Well, honestly, I can't say what the answer is, or even if there is an answer. The New York report suggested that they switch out audible car alarms for other anti-theft devices, such as brake and steering wheel locks and tracking devices. But of course, those don't apply to buildings. It's possible that we need to make car alarms less sensitive. Most car alarms are set off by the vibration of people just walking past. Perhaps what we need is to make people more aware of this problem, so they will take more measures to prevent false alarms. Whatever the solution may be, I believe that something needs to be done. I'm Ashley Miller, and I hope to see you all again on Opinions from the Armchair.